All right, I wanted to do a quick um, podcast and just run through what I've seen here. I just happened to get on Twitter or X and decided, hey, let me just go ahead and give my opinion on some stuff I see. I try not to be on here too much on X because really it kind of gets redundant when people just really. It's a good place to, I guess, see receipts and kind of catch people in BS, but it's also a very negative place. And it's also a place where he would just preach to the choir. I'm not the I'm just doing this to have some kind of timestamp on some of the stuff I was saying. See how it holds up. A lot of the stuff holds up through time. Um, like I said, I'm not even here to try to convince people because what I say, some of it might be right, some of it might be wrong. You know, if it's wrong, no big deal. If it's right, a lot of people won't do anything about it anyway. So I'm not here to twist arms or convince people. So one of the things I'm really going to be talking about is like the Republicans. You have a group of people in this country that feel like the Republicans are the good guys or on their side. Which I mean, from the evidence, I mean they sold out America, especially white America, and some people for whatever reason want to continue to act like these people are on their side. My thing is, why would you even, after you really pay attention to things, why would you kind of want somebody to solve your problems for you anyway? Well, let me rephrase that because sometimes I'll say this: some people are willing to try to call somebody else and rely on somebody else to solve their problems before they'll try to come up with their own solution or do the solution. And some people won't do it at all. Hey, if something happens with the power, you may have to call Duke Energy. Sometimes you do have to call other people to solve your problems. But these people, known liars, why would you trust known liars? And then where's your standard for job performance? But a lot of people, they willing to complain in private, but they won't complain in public either. That's what I've noticed too. But let me get into some of these clips that I've seen about Republicans and conservatives and other people actually kind of speaking out against Republicans and how basically, yeah, they just controlled opposition.
A lot of people don't realize this. He allowed. That's what Republicans do. Republicans do nothing. Republicans have been in charge for I don't know how long of managing the decline. I mean, look, it's not exactly a new insult to call the Republican Party controlled opposition. But let's be frank, that's exactly what they are. Even right. Joseph Stalin allowed an opposition party. A lot of people don't realize this. He allowed, encouraged, and in fact funded an opposition party to give the people of the Soviet Union an illusion of choice. Oh, no, these guys are against me. Wow, it's pretty scary, but somehow they never end up accomplishing any of their anti-Stalin goals. We're constantly told the Republican Party is going to fight for us and protect the border, and we'll cut your taxes, and we'll be pro-life, and we'll protect the family. Yet none of these things ever seem to materialize. They all talk about it during election season. I'll build the wall. And then you get there and you get 25 feet of wall and a bunch of excuses.
Thank you, Jesse Kelly, for being honest about how controlled opposition the Republican Party is.
I think he's doing a very good job. He's doing about as good as you're going to do. And
Speaker Johnson's doing a very good job for foreign countries, the donor class, and people who hate America. But with an omnibus bill that spends more than Pelosi's highest year, an expansion of the domestic warrantless surveillance program, and an $100 billion foreign aid bill. If that's Trump's idea of doing the best we can do, then maybe it's time to confront the controlled opposition Bolshevik Republican Party and let them know that they're actually not doing anything. They're fake opposition.
So let's kind of go back and kind of dissect some of the stuff that this video was covering.
That's what Republicans do. Republicans do nothing.
Yeah, they don't do anything. They complain, and what I've noticed is people love to find another person to complain to and with over actually finding a solution, coming up with a solution, or holding somebody else accountable. Because it's hard for most people to hold themselves accountable. That's why most people can't lose weight or um, stop smoking cigarettes, all kinds of things, complete things, is because of lack of discipline. And this isn't to say that I'm immune to any of that stuff. This is just an observation. But it's some people. I speak to people, and there's some people that no matter what, they're gonna blame the other side. They're gonna blame the Democrats. They're gonna blame the Republicans, and they're gonna vote for these people as if these people are actually, have good solutions. The other thing is, I saw Dame Dash on I think it was a PBD podcast, or Valuetainment, and he said something about he really don't care about who was the president because he's not looking to have them pay for his hospital bills or get a check from him. And really, that's what a lot of a lot of the issues come down to. Like, okay, yeah, we want the government to pay for our health care, and we want a check, but the check is so mediocre. I mean, you want them to pay for they want people, it's like, oh, well, we want them to pay for the meds. But if we was in a healthy society, we wouldn't really need the meds. The thing is, these politicians will say things like, we're going to make sure that we have healthy food on the shelves, but even these other countries don't even allow some of the food to be in a country that they allow in this country. These people have sold the American people out. They sold white people out, and there's a group of white people, a large number, that are racist in this country and feel that, and they are haters. And the mindset of a hater is, hey, you can mistreat this other group, but let me get benefits. But the whole thing is, they get benefits, but they basically just like house Negroes. Some of them know this, some of them don't. Some of them don't care. Some of them know it or don't care, and that's a loser hater mentality. Jealous haters.
Republicans have been in charge for I don't know how long of managing the decline. I mean, look of managing the decline.
So he just basically saying he managing decline. That the Republicans are managing the decline. Really, they're just basically negotiating with a large number of white society. They just say, hey, yeah, don't snap or anything like that. You know, don't pay attention to the fact that, yeah, the politicians are getting rich. you know, Getting paid by the same people that pay them to undermine you. But hey, and this isn't, like I said, I could be right or wrong, but if it's the truth, don't hate on me. But hey, I know people haters. I mean, we got the big problem with this world is haters, jealous haters, because haters are insecure and haters are jealous. And you get that combination, you get people that are crash out, you get people that mess up a good thing. Well, I took a note too. It's basically going back to the check thing and looking for the government, people we don't know, people that don't like us, people we know lie to us, and then
I mean, look,
people will say, yeah, politicians are liars, but will get mad if the politician doesn't do what they say they're gonna do. So really, a lot of times you got to identify like, what is your, I guess, outlook? What are your expectations at the end? What are your expected results? You know, everybody don't have the same expected results. Everybody don't want the same thing. Some people is cool with scraps, and some people want to eat filet mignon and stuff like that. If you're around the people that's okay with the scraps, they're gonna be arguing with you to eat the filet mignon, because eating the filet mignon gonna take a lot more effort than they might be willing to put in. They might have insecurities and anxieties and not wanting to confront all kind of things. And then some of them won't even identify that they want just scraps, because they know that a lot of people won't mess with them, because it's not a good look to be okay being mistreated, insecure, settle for less. If somebody knew you was willing to settle for less, a lot of people would be like, "No, I ain't really trying to deal with that person." So a lot of times people will act, they'll pretend or lie because they don't want to be, I guess, left out. So they'll just slow the train down. It's two different mindsets.
Look,
And like I said, none of this stuff will say is like, well, I'm perfect. Got a lot of stuff I need to work on myself. But I remember being told and reading, make a commitment, a lifetime commitment to self improvement, to learning and self improvement. And if I do that, then there's nothing wrong with improvement. So I understand I have to be humble enough. And just like I said, there's nothing wrong with improving or learning.
it's not exactly a new insult to call the Republican Party controlled opposition, but let's be frank, that's exactly what they are. Klein. I mean,
Now, the thing is, you'll get people to say that. I've seen people say Donald Trump is the only man to save this country, that can save this country. And the Republicans is people on the left, right, whatever they want to call it. Because a lot of these people, they say they have these titles, but they never really do say what the title, what are the actual actions and behaviors of these so-called liberals, of these so-called conservatives. These are just titles for people to hide behind, just like Christian, Jew, um, Hebrew, Muslim, all this stuff, Islam.
I mean, look, it's not exactly a new insult to call the Republican Party controlled opposition, but let's be frank, that's exactly what they are.
And the thing is that I really don't really argue with people, so I would just ask, what if they are opposition? Somebody that is a Republican and talks about, I'm conservative. Well, what if they are controlled opposition? What are you going to do about it? A lot of times, you're not going to get a straight answer, because they're going to be looking for, a lot of times, they're going to be looking for an answer that don't include them having to do something about it and taking control of their own life and find the solutions. Most people aren't leaders. Most people are followers. These are realizations that I wasn't necessarily happy to have to realize, but it is what it is.
Let's be frank, that's exactly what they are. Even Joseph Stalin allowed an opposition party. A lot of people don't realize this. He allowed, encouraged, and in fact funded an opposition party to give the people of the Soviet Union an illusion of choice. Oh, no, these guys are against me. Wow, it's pretty scary. But
now, he said illusion of choice. Now, a lot of people say they don't like Biden, they don't like Trump, but they still gonna vote for him anyway, instead of actually just not voting for them. And then it's frustrating because they'll always go back to the voting and not doing what they haven't done. Because the voting, Trump has been president, Biden has been president, and a lot of people were complaining under each of the presidents anyway. So do something else. But no, they don't want to do something different. People hate change. People are afraid to get out of their comfort zone, afraid of the unknown. So they'll do what they know, even if what they know don't work.
wow, it's pretty scary, but somehow they never end up accomplishing any of their anti-Stalin goals. We're constantly told the Republican Party is going to fight for us and protect the border, and we'll cut your taxes.
Yeah, Trump was the president. He didn't put up the wall.
Goals. We're constantly.
None of the Republicans have put up the wall. Where these big Republican donors, they can just pay for the wall themselves if it's that big of a deal.
Told the Republican Party is going to fight for us and protect the border, and we'll cut your taxes, and we'll be pro-life, and we'll protect the family. Yet none of these things ever seem to materialize. They all talk about it during election season. I'll build the wall, and then you get there and you get 25 feet of wall and a bunch of excuses.
Thank you, Jesse Kelly, for being honest about how controlled opposition the Republican Party is.
I think he's doing a very good job. He's doing about as good as you're going to do. And
now Trump is saying this guy, Speaker Johnson, is doing a good job, and we're going to look at this because some of the other Republicans say he's not.
Speaker Johnson's doing a very good job.
But Trump, a lot of people, man, it don't matter what he say or do. They live vicariously through him, it seems. We know it's a probability, high probability to some do, but whatever it is, they fans of the guy. So he can do no wrong.
For foreign countries, the donor class, and people who hate America. But with an omnibus bill that spends...
It takes a lot for somebody to really be like, oh yeah, I was fooled and this person was lying. Because a lot of people don't even have the humility or the maturity to admit that they were fooled. A lot of people will keep talking before they just say, I don't know, I need to do some more research, or I was wrong. They'll keep talking.
More than Pelosi's highest year, an expansion of the domestic warrantless surveillance program, and an $100 billion foreign aid bill. If that's Trump's highest year, an omnibus bill that's...
And they always talk about lower taxes and all this for the people, but they never get the people lower taxes, man. How many times do it take for these people to lie to you? When you say, I'm done with it, you're a liar. Because most people don't lie to themselves, so they... Well, I'm going to say I know this for a fact, but we know some people are lying to themselves. And so it's hard for them to even see when other people are lying to them. Because they don't want to see it. Because they don't want to have to do anything about it themselves.
Countries, the donor class, and people who hate America. But with an omnibus...
It's just like if the sink is clogged and the person refused to actually unclog the sink. But then if they don't have the money to actually pay like a plumber or a professional to clean, to actually unclog the sink, instead of them actually doing it, the sink is just going to remain clogged up and it's just going to get worse. And that's a metaphor for this country and the people in it. And the thing is, so I'm not against immigrants as an individual, but when you got people fleeing from their country when they wouldn't even and couldn't even solve their own problem there, bringing them over here when we got so many people that ain't willing to solve the problems of this country ain't going to make the country better. It's just, you can compare the two. Do you think bringing people over here that haven't solved problems are going to be able to contribute? I mean, contribute ain't the right word, but what's the likelihood they can solve your problems if they couldn't solve their own problems?
Bill that spends more than Pelosi's highest year, an expansion of the domestic warrantless surveillance program, and an $100 billion foreign aid bill. If that's Trump's idea of doing the best we can do, bill, if that's Trump's, and an expansion of the domestic warrantless surveillance program, and an $100 billion
$100 billion foreign aid bill. Wow. That's what I said. Like, dude, don't tell me about pulling up bootstraps when there's people out here that get sabotaged and then they don't give people funding for their businesses and things like that, or ideas that they need that could actually do something good. No, they want people to, just like in that There Will Be Blood, where the dude say he got a competition in him. He was rich, but he don't like to see other people get rich because he's an insecure hater. Because they really don't want to compete because they don't feel they can compete. So they'll mess up a good thing and sabotage people, even if it's messing up stuff, because they are really fuck ups at the end of the day. I mean, that's a fact. So let's look at this right
These
here.
are often the bipartisan one. The House recently voted for a FISA 702 reauthorization. I say reauthorization in air quotes because it was actually a dramatic expansion of the power given to the surveillance.
Now I'm going to start this over because I had to say something about this. This guy, he's a foreigner, foreign born American or immigrant. I remember I seen Tariq Nasheed had something where he was showing a video that they posted on social media of Asians, mostly Asians, were saying if they were, this guy asked them a question, if you could be any other color, what would you be? They were saying white. These people don't have they cool being second class citizens as long as they ain't around their own folks. He can't solve none of our problems here. He can't solve his own problems over there. He just trying to get his money, stroke his ego, and pretend to be something he ain't, and never will be accepted into. And consider he just contributed to the mess.
The House recently voted for a FISA 702 reauthorization. I say reauthorization in air quotes.
Real quick here.
Because it was actually a dramatic.
So he got an American pen. He done completely banned his ethnic group, his homeland.
The House recently voted for a FISA 702 reauthorization.
How could you I mean, they abandon their duty at home. Come to a country that we know has racism in it. Whether you can say it was built off racism, whether you can say it's a racist country, maybe it's none of those things. But we know there's racism in this country, and they are coming over here as a minority by choice. That says a lot.
The House recently voted for a FISA 702 reauthorization. I say reauthorization in air quotes because it was actually a dramatic expansion of the power given to the surveillance state to now co-opt any company, not just communications companies like Verizon or Google, but any company to be able to do its bidding through spying on everyday American citizens through the back door. That's what the House passed. And now the Senate, including with the support, shamefully, of Senate Republicans, has now voted to pass that as well. Shame on the Republican Party. Shame on Congress. Shame on our elected leaders. The government you elect is unfortunately the government you deserve, as Thomas Jefferson said. And that was meant for moments like this one. Deserve, as Thomas Jefferson said, elected leaders. The government you elect is unfortunately the government you deserve, as Thomas Jefferson said. And that was meant for moments like this one. Elected leaders. The government you elect is unfortunately the government you deserve, as Thomas Jefferson said. And that was meant for moments like this one. I am sick and tired of hearing of Republicans railing on cable television about the weaponization of government, waxing eloquent, signaling their virtue to our base, while actually then voting to give that government the power that allows that government to be weaponized. It's disgusting.
And another thing with this guy, he's rich, but he's what's the word I'm looking for? At the end of the day, he's still foolish with these our base and this side versus that side. See, that attitude is why a lot of these countries are in a situation they in. Us versus them. Instead of doing what's in the best interest of your country and other people, and not being upset when you see other people succeed in life if it's not hindering you. But we got people like this is another. He's in politics. He knows BS, and they might speak half truth sometimes, but he still is part of the BS.
A countless list of Republicans. Look, everyone who either voted or even
He abandoned his culture. He wearing a suit. He ain't wearing none of that Indian garb.
some who chose not to show up. This
You
is
think
shameful.
somebody
I'll
that
give credit
abandoned their own people is going to stand by you?
where credit was due to the likes of Mike Lee and Rand Paul.
That
Actually
would be
stood
my
up
question to
as
somebody.
Republicans with the spine for civil liberties. But for the rest, yeah, it's easy to talk about the weapon to our base while actually then voting to give that government the power that allows that government to be weaponized. It's disgusting. The countless list of Republicans, look, everyone who either voted or even some who chose not to show up. This is shameful. I'll give credit where credit was due to the likes of Mike Lee and Rand Paul. Actually stood up as Republicans with the spine for civil liberties. But for the rest, yeah, it's easy to talk about the weaponization of government when you are literally enacting the statutes that allow that massive surveillance state to continue to grow. Forking over more money to you.
You need to, and another thing with the conservatives and a lot of these racists, they never did hold any of these agencies accountable for killing black leaders, and they just looked the other way. And they seem to have, well, I don't know for what reason, but some of them, we know some of them didn't think it would affect them. But if you don't hold people accountable, they'll take advantage of stuff. That's just human nature, it seems. If it's not human nature, we just know some people will do it. And untrustworthy liars are usually the prime suspects.
Ukraine, well, we have problems right here at home. Expanding our surveillance state without justification, using fear-mongering reminiscent of the Bush-Cheney era. That's the real divide in today's Republican Party. It's not even in the Republican Party, it's the divide in our country. Between a managerial class in the deep state of the government. Involves both parties. It's a bipartisan affair. The worst ideas in Washington, D.C. are often the bipartisan ones. Both parties, it's a between a managerial class in the deep state of the government. Involves both parties. It's a bipartisan affair. The worst ideas in Washington, D.C. are often the bipartisan ones. That managerial class and the everyday citizen. At one end of the spectrum is this view that we should use our own resources to somehow fight and even start foreign wars that don't actually advance our interests while expanding an Orwellian security state here at home. Not just through the government anymore, but merging with private companies to do through the back door what the government couldn't do through the front door. That's one vision. Supported by most of the Democratic...
Most people would just live in denial and just not even want to deal with it for whatever reason. Some people are hopeless. You know, it is what it is. Beware the hopeless. They a drag.
Not just through the government anymore, but merging with private companies to do through the back door what the government couldn't do through the front door. That's one vision. Supported by most of the Democratic Party and a good chunk of the Republican Party. And on the other side, a vision which says hell no to that vision. That we actually believe in the Constitution.
These folks have no morals. So you elect people with no morals, no integrity, no accountability, self-responsibility. They lie to themselves. They sick at that. You actually elected sick people.
Supported by most of the Democratic Party and a good chunk of the Republican Party. And on the other side, a vision which says hell no to that vision. That we actually believe in the Constitution.
If these people you elect, if it's a winner and a loser for the people in the country, it's a house divided. It's a country divided. Country divided cannot stand. They need to be talking about who can do the job the best. That's what the elections need to be about. Who can do the job the best, most efficient, for the least amount of money.
That we believe in the vision that our founding fathers set into motion. That we believe in the bill.
Another thing, like when you deal with some of these people in the government and some of these government agencies, they complain about being understaffed and overworked. Well, if you're understaffed, then that's on you to get the talent and maybe pay more. Well, not even maybe pay more. You need to be paying the people more. That's not no excuse. Oh, you go to a restaurant and you wait for an hour. Giving that excuse for you understaffed ain't gonna fly.
Of rights. That we believe in the First Amendment. That we believe in the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Especially not in the government. If you see where your government, these agencies are ineffective and inefficient, and they got horrible workers, well, yeah, of course we're gonna have bad government. We're gonna have bad results.
Seizures by the government. That we view the Constitution as actually...
It's just best to Like I said, this ain't no confused. No, this ain't to convince anybody. This or anybody to just interested in another perspective. The good thing, one of the good things about perspectives is somebody might bring up something or ask a question that you never thought to ask.
See, the
And that's
bright,
useful.
shining North Star of our country, not some pesky constraint that we find our way around. Next time you have Republicans that stand up about the weaponization of the government against our party or conservatives, ask them how they voted on this bill or whether they voted on this bill, and that'll tell you the truth.
And this is the thing. This is why some people don't want black Americans to have reparations, because they understand that this BS, it will be changes. Because what'll happen is people to see, oh, what's going on over here, and the haters is definitely going to be complaining to folks like him and say, hey, why do they have the Black Wall Street over here and we don't? And instead of holding these folks responsible, what they'll try to do is sabotage the places like Black Wall Street from the jealousy and insecurity and hate.
Truth about how much they actually care versus what type of lip service they're throwing and feeding your way to lull you into submission.
And it's just like, duh. It just go one ear after the other. A lot of people only listen to what they want to do or believe. So if they don't want to do nothing about it, you know what I'm saying? If they don't want to believe it, it is what it is.
I think people have been too obsessed.
Like I said, humans are emotional. They really govern by emotions. And logic is something secondary.
I think people have been too obsessed.
Logic is something you have to learn, and then other people spread that to other people, and they mimic it. If that makes sense, like if a person can touch a fire, then they get burnt, then they can learn, okay, fire is hot, and then they can tell other people, so that way they know. But then some people still gonna touch it anyway because they don't believe it. If that kind of made sense, but logic is not something that seems to be. Yeah, I can be wrong, but logic isn't something that's first nature to people.
I think people have been too obsessed.
People probably, and another thing is the herbs and stuff and alcohol get people to have a different perspective, to have realizations also and epiphanies. Like, this ain't just, if that was the case, we wouldn't have so many arguments and disagreements in this world. You can have a logical conversation with somebody, y'all should be able to agree to do what's in y'all best interest, in my opinion.
With voting for foreign wars and the murder industry here in America, to actually understand how angry Americans are. When you have the strongest, loudest voices.
That's deep when a few people can basically just continue to deceive a bunch of other people. And the people that's being deceived continue to make these people richer. It's the weirdest thing.
I think people have been too obsessed with voting for foreign wars and the murder industry here in America, to actually understand how angry Americans are. When you have the strongest.
House passed this $26 billion Israel aid bill, so we know who a lot of these people work for. Neely Fuller Jr. said white supremacists play both sides of the argument, or they take both sides of the argument. So the Anglo and the folks that claim to be Jewish. Like I said, tell me if you're Christian, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, what are your behaviors, so that way we can hold you accountable, since you got this title. If you say LeBron James is a basketball player, well, and he's great, well, we have to hold him to certain standards, meaning he has to have a certain amount of rings and wins, and has to be able to come through in certain situations These are tangible actions we can rate. Pretending and you know, stuff like that. That ain't what's up. A lot of people just sick, perverted, haters, insecure, hiding behind titles, messing stuff up.
Loudest voices in the Republican movement and grassroots.
I was talking to this one girl. We was talking about like managers and stuff like that, and how people quit managers, not necessarily jobs, or or in some cases that's what you hear, that people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. And I told her, well, the constant, if it's a place with high turnover and the constant is the same managers and executives, then they pretty much the problem. But they're not gonna take responsibility or fire themselves. So this is what you're dealing with. Dealing with people that don't want to take responsibility, that aren't humble, that are sick, that are insecure, that can't or won't do better. Some of these people can't do better. They don't have the ability. They don't. It is what it is. So they're not gonna fire themselves because they still want to get paid. They still want to be able to lie to themselves that they better than other people.
Furious, calling for Mike Johnson to be vacated. The people here, my colleagues,
It's not all
have not
people.
heard the
It's
message.
some people though.
So I'm looking forward for them to go home and hearing from the folks back at home. But this is the sellout of America today. When we had members of Congress in there waving the Ukrainian flag,
Those ain't patriots. How can a patriot support people that wave another country's flag? Only in America can people come to this country and wave other people's flags. Countries that people have abandoned will never go back to fix up and want nothing to do with.
Ukrainian flag on the United States House.
But these foreign governments can and other people with money can buy these politicians.
House of Representatives floor, while we're doing nothing to secure our border. I think every American in this country should be furious. It's who's going to vote for these people? How can you vote for these people? They don't serve our country.
Republicans deserve to
vote on a motion to
95 billion. Think if they gave 95 billion people to actual Americans to actually solve problems and give Americans skills and actually teach some stuff in school that would actually make Americans ready to actually, once they actually old enough. I don't even say old enough because it can be a teenager that can come up with a great idea and be an entrepreneur. So the standard need to be that everybody need to be able to, everybody that actually is trying to be a contributing person in the society has the ability to do so and solve problems for themselves and do for self. If you want to do it in an average way, fine. If you want to do it in a big way, that should be fine too. But to undermine the people, it's just a hater move, and it showed that they can't compete really.
eventually.
I don't think you were listening very well.
No, you said you wait for your constituents, but will you?
Hold on, let me.
I think people have been too obsessed with voting for foreign wars and the murder industry here in America to actually understand how angry Americans are. When you have the strongest, loudest voices in the Republican movement and grassroots, furious, calling for Mike Johnson to be vacated. The people here, my colleagues, have not heard the message. So I'm looking forward for them to go home and hearing from the folks back at home. But this is the sellout of America today. When we had members of Congress in there waving the Ukrainian flag on the United States House of Representatives floor, while we're doing nothing to secure our border, I think every American in this country should be furious. It's who's going to vote for these people?
That's the other thing too. The school system, how it's set up, is meant to undermine people, and then there's people. Many foolish people will say that the teachers are underpaid. They underpaid. Look, this is the other thing. Like, if one school is doing something good, Every school need to be copying that. Why would one school in the city have a great rating and do things one way, and then another school that don't have the good rating do things another way instead of doing what the other school with the good rating does? The people, and like I said, the school systems are basically meant to. Well, I don't know if they meant to, but I just say what they have done is basically kill people's creativity and confidence in themselves to actually do for self, do something where they entrepreneurs. And there's nothing wrong with having jobs, but everybody can't work a job. We need to have people with the ability and resources and like the skills and know-how of how to connect with people. It's different things you have to do when you run a business and developing a product. And none of those years in school are they really teaching you that. Like I said, they really beat down people, and you get people afraid to take chances. You get people in debt. You get insecure people. Because really, everybody needs to be willing to run for office, but most people don't have confidence to do that. And we have people that are bold enough to lie to millions of people in order to get rich and do other corrupt, sick stuff in some cases.
How can you vote for these people? They don't serve our country.
Republicans
How can you vote for these people? They don't serve our country.
deserve to call a vote on a motion to vacate eventually.
I don't think you were listening very well.
No, you said you wait for your constituents, but will you ever
Back to
call
a
for a vote?
A lot of it been people like I said this before. People act like, oh, Christian and all this. No, people worship money and people sell out for money, and most people is cowards. This is something else I saw. Impressive video. All parents have done it. So this lady is basically exploiting her kid for attention. Like clout is a hell of a drug. This social media really exposed like it's a lot of people that really seek attention, and they'll like I said they'll exploit their own kids just because it's people out here that brag about getting abortions and stuff like that. Just because somebody a parent don't mean they're a good parent or that they this you see all kind of stories about parents doing stuff to their kids or sabotaging their kids.
Right?
Yeah.
What message are you going to give them? Like, what can they expect from
Let's say
Just
Sugar Hill D Dot
mom,
only 16 got more sense than these grown rappers in the street. Let's see what he say.
So, if you had to give a message to the industry, because you're, definitely one of the new kids on the block, right?
Yeah.
What message are you going to give them? Like, what can they expect from,
Just just I'll say my biggest mistake when I was just on the block all the time was just being outside so much. I ain't never gained nothing out of that. Just being outside every day, just doing nothing, no money in my pocket. Just at that time, being outside was just cool. So if I could fix anything for me, my grandma, my mom, my family was never wrong about the streets. For me,
and
so
now you
for me, and now
doing your thing,
now
you
I'm older.
focus.
Yeah, now I'm older, so now I see it a different way, and now I'm in a grown mentality, so I could just, you know, move the way I move now. For me, and the kids that's in the streets now, I try to guide them the right way, but you can never do nothing.
Right. So, if you had
I ain't never gained nothing out of that. All the time was just being outside so much. I ain't never.
Yeah, a lot of times I notice like kids, or even when I was a kid, sometimes you just bored, not doing nothing. You get into some stupid stuff sometimes, or that's when some BS happen. You get to you see another group, and then y'all fight and all that kind of stuff. People, idle time is the devil's playground. I think is what they say. When you got bored people do stupid stuff. Just hanging around, doing nothing. Because this is the thing we never really taught. The people you around, you need to have a purpose of being around them, and it need to be a productive purpose. You need to have actual reason to be around them, not just chilling all the time. Y'all need to be actually working on something and towards something.
Just being outside. Mom, my family was never wrong about the streets. I mean,
He said his mom and his grandma was never wrong about the streets, but a lot of times, for whatever reason, we just don't listen. And then, especially when you're a kid, you'll listen to other people or be influenced by other people who have less experience as you, maybe as much or maybe a little bit more, but they still don't have as much life experience as your parents. And for some reason, we don't be thinking at that time, at that age, a lot of times that they know what they're talking about. But this dude, I saw a video of this dude though, and he was doing this. So it made me think, and I want to ask some questions. So he got the money, or what appeared to be money. It could be fake, we don't know. But I was wondering, I've never seen Elon Musk do this. I've never seen Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates do this. And this is my whole point about rappers. Like, you get a lot of these rappers be feds. A lot of these rappers is sellouts and haters. All this is directed towards black people. It ain't directed towards no, because he wouldn't do it to Bill Gates, because it wouldn't make sense, because he don't have, his money ain't long enough to do that to Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. He'll never do it. His status level ain't that high. So this is all to make other black people. It's not to Mexicans. It's not to Asians. It's not to Arabs. It's to other black people, to make other black people jealous and to stun on them. These rappers, we've seen that they feds. We've seen that they'll sell us out. We'll see that you can talk about killing black people, but if Kanye West talk about Jewish people and they come into the Jewish people's defense and basically turning their back on Kanye West, saying he's wrong and hateful. So these dudes they fake. They are the people from Django. That movie Django Unchained had a lot of good messages and game in there. These are the Mandingo fighters. They'll run past 10 white supremacists to shoot one black person. They trying to make black people feel insecure about themselves. They come from the same place. These are the traitors. They sellouts. Because they'll never do it to the other races.
The House recently.
Yeah, let me see here. See if it's something else. Oh, this is that. Talk out.
Hey, man, why would you listen to him? I'm your coach.
This dude, Brendan Clinton, he got some funny, he be having some funny skits.
Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here. Oh, big connection late.
Damn it, man, why would you listen to him? I'm your coach. He knew your nose was broke like a bad boy artist. All right, he called you to the center of the ring. All right, y'all start trading punches like they doing in the rap game right now. All right, he goes to your body and then bing. That was a more destructive combo than Henny and Co. Kane and Undertaker. Epstein and Maxwell. All right, let's rewind it back to a time when you was alive. All right, here we go. Ain't no big three. It's just big me.
Nigga, boom.
I mean, damn, son, that fight was shorter than Don Toliver. I went to tie my shoe. I got up. He was doing emotes over your corpse. Very disrespectful, by the way. Right? All right, now, do we have the Wembenyama angle of the fight? Oh, yeah, good. Right here. This one. All right, Davis, look at you. All right. Oh, my God. It's Alex Pereira. I'm pissing down my leg. I hope he can't see how scared I am. My face probably whiter than Drake's. You know what? It's not that bad. I see he's about to throw his right hand. All I got to do is block it and then bing. Damn. My left leg folding like J. Cole. Boom. Knockout. I don't know what to tell you, Davis. All right, you just took it on the chin. Just like
Rick Ross just dropped the diss track.
Play it.
Got to 100 real quick. Now that shit was a slap.
Nice flow, little did he know that he be getting slapped. My crew will make the news, you should have known better. Gotta make the Don hot, they call that lemon pepper. Top 2, not 2, that's if we talking commas. The emperor got a new groove, don't make me get the llama. I'm blowing up TNT, and I'm with all the drama. We ain't taking nothing on the chin, boy, that's for J. Cole. And Davis's mama. Y'all know I like to do more talking and rapping on these diss tracks, man. You know, I don't know.
All right, so I'll end it on that.